What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another ACT podcast, and I have a special guest here, and I think she is my first model, well, retired model, Victoria.
Hi, how are
Hello,
you?
Victoria. Thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So the first time I met you through, oh my gosh, we gotta have to cut this part out.
Olya.
Yes, that's the reason, because I can't pronounce her name.
Yeah, it's Russian.
It's Russian. It's so difficult.
I'm European, so for me it's easy. Olya.
Oh, see, there you go.
Olya.
Yes.
Yeah,
So you're
exactly.
originally from Berlin.
Yeah, from Germany.
Germany.
Yes,
That's
yes,
awesome.
From Europe. Moved to the US in 2019, first to Los Angeles to become the next Uma Thurman. That was my goal.
Wow.
And for modeling, and now I'm in Miami since 3 years, and yeah, now I'm thinking of moving to New York actually.
What? Moving to New York? All right, we're gonna get there. Why you want to move to New York when Miami is just blowing up right now? But we'll get there.
I know.
So I was reading up a little bit about you, and you started modeling at 16 years old.
Yeah, I was a baby. I got discovered on the streets in Berlin, like how it
Wow.
was back in the days. You know, you had these model scouts, and I'm very tall. I'm 6'1", and I was
Like
always
every German.
not every. I'm very tall for a German as well.
Really?
Yes. I'm very tall.
What's
Well,
the average?
the average is probably like 5. Oh God, what is it like in feet? 5'11" or something.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
For women.
For women, yeah. For men, my dad is taller than me. Like German men are tall, actually. Yeah, that's what I realized here in the US. Men are not that tall.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're basketball players or NFL players. For some
Yes.
reason, they are so, so tall.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you started in Berlin as a model.
Yes.
How was that experience for you? Because I think for a 16-year-old, I can remember when I was 16, and believe it or not, I did some modeling in my age too. I think I was like 12 years old when I did my first magazine.
Wow, younger than me.
Yeah. A friend of mine, his sister was like a top model or something here in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, "Oh, well, you can do modeling too." And I was like, "All right, cool."
Yeah, let's
And
go.
I did my first magazine. I got my first paycheck as a model.
Wow.
And I remember the paycheck. It was $180, and then,
For a
taxes.
12-year-old, this is a
That was
lot. You
awesome.
can
That
get
was
a
a
lot
while
of
back.
candy.
Yes.
A lot of candy.
Yes, that was a while back. So I remember that experience, and it was fun. As a kid, it was fun to do that. I didn't understand what was going on, but it was fun. So how was the experience for you being 16-year-old? Because that's your teenage years, right? And
Yes.
that's where things are happening. You're meeting people, friends. How
Yeah.
was that experience for you?
Especially as a young woman, it was definitely an experience. It helped me to grow a lot. I learned a lot because what they do is once you get scouted as a model, I never wore like high heels before, right? So I went like through a whole model boot camp, I would say. So I had to learn how to walk in high heels, how to walk like confident on the runway because of my height. They casted me more for runway. So I really learned that like the hard way. Like they were really, especially Germans, they're so tough, you know?
Wow.
So they were like really, they put like these books on your head. So you would walk like straight and have like this nice posture. And if you would not walk straight or good, they would like literally tell you like, what the heck is wrong with you? You need to be more confident. And they pull your shoulders back and you have to do it again and again and again and again until you have a good walk. It's literally boot camp. Like everyone thinks like, oh, modeling is so easy. You just look good. No, it's actually hard training. You also have to look what you eat, like how you nurture your body, because back in the days then, the 90, 60, 90 measurements were like still like very trendy. So you had to have like certain measurements, especially as a runway model, because if you don't, like if you gain weight, you're not going to fit the clothing from the designers, you know? So there was a lot of pressure for sure. And it was not everything was good for my mental health, I have to say. I did have an eating disorder because I
wow.
permanently thought like I'm not skinny enough. But also I learned to, it's like a little bit controversial because I also gained a lot of confidence, like with my walking, like really embracing my height, because as a child I got bullied because of my height. They called me giraffe, like the boys
Oh
weren't
my
interested
gosh.
in me. And modeling really helped me to see my height as a gift from God because, like,
Mm,
I'm born to be seen. I am tall. I'm like, when I walk in a room, and I love that. I love wearing high heels. I just love being the tallest there.
mm.
I embrace, like, what God gave me is, like, makes me unique, you know? So I'm grateful for that because modeling taught me that.
Yeah, you see, that's an issue because when you're talking, I'm thinking this is so negative. This is so bad that a teenager at 16 has to go through, that type of treatment, and you got to watch your weight, you got to do this and this and that. But then I'm thinking, is it that bad because it kind of molded you to the person you are today?
Yeah.
And are you looking at that experience as, okay, what was positive in that? And what lessons did I learn? And how can I apply that? Because I think we learn a lot of lessons through hardships.
We do. And I always say, like, probably the parts in your life that were the hardest, the toughest ones, they shape you the most, you know? Because if everything is perfect and life is so good, like, how you gonna grow? You know, you
Right.
need like some, like the same with the plants. They need like water, they need wind, they need like storms, you know, to
Hmm.
like, you know, blossom up. So the same is with us humans, because if we don't grow, we die. Literally, if plants don't grow, they die, you know? And I feel like it's the same with us. So if everything is perfect all the time and good all the time, we're not going to grow. So I'm grateful for my model years. It taught me a lot. It made me to the person that I am. And I would not change anything in my life, not even the hardest times in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you did it from 16 all the way to.
I still do it now. I'm just not I'm 35 now. I'm just not doing it actively anymore. I have a modeling agency in LA, in
Oh,
Miami,
wow.
so I
Okay.
do still they just still submit me for work, but I'm not doing it like full time anymore where I
Gotcha.
go to
It's on your
castings
terms,
every.
basically.
It's my terms, yes. And
That's
I
good.
have like clients now. If they want to book me, they book me. But now my focus is more on my life's mission, like really helping women to embrace their feminine, to heal, to bring
Yeah.
women together with the events that I'm doing and my book and everything. So this is my main focus. But then, of course, I love modeling. I've been doing it most of my life. So if there's
Right.
an opportunity, I take it as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's part of your DNA. I think it's who you are, and it
Yes.
built the confidence in you. So let's talk a little bit about that because I love understanding people's story, right?
Yes.
Because people always see the end product, right? But
Yes.
they don't see what took that person to the person they are today.
Yeah.
And I know that you have a powerful story when it comes to your relationship. You had a very toxic relationship,
For many.
yeah, for many years. Let's talk a little bit about that because again, you have something that a lot of women envy, and that's you're tall, right?
Yes.
You have the beauty and all that stuff. So you do attract certain men to you. So
Yeah.
how did that happen, or was it something that you looked for, or how did that relationship happen?
It's so interesting when people look at me, they always think like I have everything. And I mean, I'm very grateful.
Right.
I do have a beautiful life, but I also did have very hard times. And also, I'm single since 3 years. Like, being tall, successful, and beautiful is not really an asset when you go dating, to be honest, because a lot of men get intimidated
Right.
and they're like, or they see you as a kind of trophy. And I'm way more than a trophy. I know I'm the jackpot. I know that. But I want to be more than just a trophy, you know? I
Right.
want to be seen as me in my heart. So even when I go on dates, I try to not give them my Instagram because I have a big following. And like I
Yeah.
always say, Instagram, of course, it's me, but it's just a part of me. It's not like Instagram is not showing everything. Like,
Absolutely not.
so like I don't show my family there. I don't show like my really private things. So I try to not give the guys my Instagram until we had like a few dates. So because I do really want to make sure they get to know me, my heart first,
Hmm.
before they see this part of my life, you know, because
Right.
this is just a persona that I created for Instagram. It's me. It's
Yeah, it's
honest,
branding.
but
It's
it's
branding.
a
It's your
branded,
business.
yeah, it's my business. So I'm very like what I post on Instagram, it's really like I know what I'm posting and what I'm not
Right.
posting, right? So yeah, what was the question?
Yeah. No, no, we're getting to that. No, it's perfect because I think it's interesting how you're putting those details into there because again, you're you don't want to put too much out there, and men are going to be attracted to what they see in the outside, but in the inside, there's somebody different,
Yes.
right? And the relationship that you got into, how did that start? That relationship with that person?
Well, I had a few different toxic relationships, and I
Oh,
must
so there
say,
was
a few, yes, yes. I
Oh,
dated very. I don't even like using this name because I feel like now people use the word narcissist like for everything and
everything, yeah.
everyone. So I'm very careful with like like naming
Putting a label on it.
putting a label.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So, but I did date very toxic men, but I have to say it was because I was toxic to myself. Because if I would have been healthy, confident, self-loving, I would, like, the first time the guy hit me, I would have left, but
Yeah.
because I was not, I was abusive to myself, I would say. I was like talking bad to me, like bad beliefs. So I let someone else treat me like this, because if I would have had positive
Self-love.
beliefs,
Yeah.
self-love, I would have
Yeah.
walked out this room the first time he hit me. But I didn't. And I'm also like, I have so much love for this version of me because I was in my 20s. I was in a really big healing journey. So I feel like I also kind of needed that relationship for me to really realize, wow, why do I let someone else treat me like that? Why am I not like giving myself the love? Why do I feel like I need someone else to make me happy? I should be the one making me happy. I should be loving to myself. I should not allow anyone to either physically or mentally hurt me. So I needed those relationships in order to break the pattern, in order to like really look like, how am I talking to myself? What do I want in life? What is making me happy? And now in my 30s, I'm like single now for 3 years, but also because I am very happy with myself. I'm
That's
really
good.
enjoying my life, and I do have high standards for myself. So I do not like, if there's a guy, and I do go on dates. My dating life is very interesting, very like colorful, and but like when I realize a guy is not communicating with me,
Right.
is not responding for days, then I do cut that man, because I'm like, if you show me this now in the beginning,
Sure.
I don't think this is gonna change during the relationship. And I'm dating very intentional because I do want to get married. I do want to have children. So I do not need a boyfriend, right?
Right.
I'm so happy. Like, I, I'm like, I want to have this add on. I think like life is about unconditional love and to share your
Yeah.
life with someone, but I don't need to have someone by my side to, like we said, to be happy or something.
Yeah.
So if he shows me in the beginning of the dating
Mm-hmm.
phase that he is not communicating, that he is avoidant, then I just cut you.
Yeah. What are the things that you're looking for specifically in a man, right? What are the things that's just let's say two important things you're looking for, right?
Yes. How he's gonna show up as a future husband and father. So that means for me it's important. Is he reliable? Is he sticking to what he's saying? Is he communicating? Because I think that communication is the most important thing,
Super.
because especially if you want to spend the rest of your life with a person, there will be ups and downs, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's important to communicate and not to be afraid. And I had a pattern where I dated very avoidant men. So when it came to like a critical time, or we have to talk about something, they would just like leave the room and just like not talk about it. And I don't want that anymore, because I'm like, how's this going to work? What role model are we for our children,
Right.
So if he's not communicating, non-negotiable. I just can't have that. And then also for me, it's very attractive if a man is confident and if he has humor. I think like life is about having fun and like,
Absolutely.
enjoying, laughing, even when it gets like hard sometimes, like have a smile. So that's very important. And then like, what are your belief systems? What do you believe? Do you believe in God? Do you believe in something higher? Like, growing as well. Like, do you want to grow more? I cannot date someone who's not into personal growth, because I go to Tony Robbins, to Joe Dispenza. I constantly work on myself. I do
Right.
go to retreats. I do my own retreats. So for me, personal growth is so important. So
Yeah.
I need a partner by my side who also wants to grow for himself and for the
Yeah,
relationship.
I think that's very important.
Yes.
How was your relationship with your father?
Well, I actually have an idea for a next book that I want to write, dating and daddy issues, because I
Wow.
did have daddy issues.
Okay.
That explains why I would date avoidant partners.
Yes.
And because my dad, now we have a beautiful relationship, but when I was younger, so my parents got divorced when I was 3 years old.
Hmm.
And then my dad disappeared from my life for like 2 years. So I didn't have any contact with him. And then later on, I saw him once a month. And like we had another situation where he broke the contact with me for a year. So he was like on and off in my life. And when it came to like deeper conversations, he
Yeah.
would be avoidant. He would not talk about it. It was really
Mm.
hard for him. But now, since we're both older, we did a lot of like talking, a lot of honest conversations, and a lot of healing. So now we do have a beautiful relationship.
Mm.
Sometimes we still have those like moments, but
Right.
then we promised each other we're always going to talk about everything. And he said, like, whatever it is, I can always come to him. And I feel like since I healed this relationship to my
Yeah.
dad, also my dating life got better.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
interesting. Yeah, because again, I think that's a reflection of, because I'm trying to look for the pattern here, and that's
Yeah,
kind of the
there's the
pattern there.
pattern.
Yeah, there's a pattern there because, there were some women that I used to talk to, and it was always, they would always look for this toxic, same characteristic of a guy, and I'm like, why do you keep following for the handsome bad guy?
Yes.
It's just like that same pattern, and they would get hurt all the time.
Hmm.
And again, it goes back to, daddy issues or whatever the case is, and trying to find comfort in someone else,
Yeah.
So I want to understand, that process of you going through an abusive relationship. Now, was it just one relationship that was abusive, or?
No, there were, I think, three.
Wow.
Hmm.
Victoria, three
I
abusive.
know. I got a lot
Interesting.
of punches until I finally broke my pattern. It took me a little bit, but in the end, I'm also very proud of myself, because
Yeah.
leaving an abusive relationship is not easy, because I was financially dependent. I was
Yeah.
like, it's like when you're in an abusive relationship and he was also an addict, you become very co-addictive in a way, codependent, and it was like not easy. But I did break the relationship. Was also not easy. He got very violent when I wanted to end the relationship, but in the end, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm proud of myself,
Yeah.
and it really helped me to look deeper inside of myself. Like what you said before, like realizing your pattern.
Yeah.
Why am I keep dating guys that are abusive? Because in the end, we attract what we are,
Yeah.
what we think we are,
Right. Or
so
what we
I
think
was
we need.
exactly, so I
Yeah.
was attracting someone who was abusive towards me, because I was like abusive. Like I said before, I was talking really bad about myself. I had no confidence.
Right.
But once I broke the pattern, that changed. And my last two boyfriends, they were the most loving people ever. They would not touch me at all. They were
That's
like
awesome.
sweethearts. Like one is married now. The other one, I don't know. We don't have contact anymore. There was the one that got away, the last one, but
Ah,
I wish him well. He was
yeah.
really sweet. Like the last two ones were so sweet. So they
Yeah.
would never ever touch me. So I'm very proud, because
So
that
you saw
also,
another side. You saw hope. You saw that there was another
yes.
side of the
Yes, and
relationship.
because I changed, because I like
Absolutely. Yeah.
changed my pattern, I changed my whole belief system. I became more loving towards myself, so I
Yeah.
attracted very loving partners, very caring partners.
Yeah.
Still avoidant, so I'm still
Right.
need to break this avoidant pattern here, but
Yeah.
at least not abusive or anything. Very supportive, like very masculine man, like like really, really, really supportive.
Yeah. And this is important. I think it's important for young women to hear this as well. I always tell my wife, if I have a daughter, I'm in trouble. It's like, because I have an attachment for, having a daughter. I don't want a daughter, but at the same time I do, right?
Yes.
And and I think it's important your story because sometimes and men who abuse women, I think they're cowards. I think they have their own issues to deal with, but I think that is completely beyond my understanding, of taking someone that is weaker than you and just abusing them physically, mentally. It just I just can't comprehend that. But starting your relationship with those men, was it abusive in the beginning, or was it just like,
No.
I'll give you the world?
Exactly. They were like very like sweethearts in the beginning. Like, look, I take you out, I buy you that, like I'm
Mhm.
here for you, move in with me. It also went very fast, the moving in. That's also
Yeah,
something I learned and that I broke now the pattern,
absolutely.
going slower. I'm not gonna do that
Yes.
again, like moving in, giving up my
Nope.
life. Because what they do is they separate you from the rest. They separate you from your friends, like they make you dependent on them, like
Yeah.
financially you're living there as well, and they're like, oh, you don't need to work, blah blah blah, so no, in the beginning they were like sweethearts, and then
Yeah.
like one fight and then bam, and then it's like, oh, I never do that, I'm so sorry. That's also very typical, and then you
Yeah.
believe them, and then they
Then you go
come with
back again.
flowers and they're like the sweetest again. It's like a cycle,
Yeah.
but now I'm like, now I see it straight away, and like I
Yeah.
would not even let this close to me. So
Yeah, I always give that advice to women. Again, it's very important. I'm more of a conservative when it comes to this. I think women that go and move in with guys, right when they start dating, I think that's a very bad thing to do. I don't think no women should um, do that because you're basically giving up everything
yeah,
when you do that,
yeah,
right? And today society has looked at marriage, has looked at relationship as not really important. Marriage is not important anymore, right? And that's why the percentage of divorce is so high, and that needs to change.
yeah, I agree.
And the moment that again, um, men have a huge responsibility, right? I can talk all day why men are the biggest responsibility for what's happening today in society, but women also have the power to just say, no, you
Yeah,
really want this commitment, it's marriage,
yeah, I agree.
right? Because what's the point, right? If you're going to be in a relationship for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, what's the point of even getting married if you're already giving him everything that he needs?
Mhm. Yes.
So there's no point in that. So that's why I always encourage people at a certain age. Look, there's no time to be playing around.
Yeah.
You're already at a certain age that it's either we commit to this 100% or we don't.
Yeah.
There's no
Agree.
dating. I don't believe in dating at this time. You don't have time to date anymore,
Yes.
So that's kind of the advice I give you
I
on that.
love that because I went on a date with a guy. We went on 4 dates, and I do like him, but he dated a girl for 8 years. They weren't living together. They weren't married, and I was like, "What the heck?" And then I went full on German on him. German women are very direct.
Yeah, I can see
I'm
that.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
listen, we need to talk. So I just like, I don't know where we're going. We're getting to know each other here, but I want to tell you one thing. So if we end up being in a relationship and we're not
Right.
engaged after a year, I'm going to leave you. I'm not going to waste my time. I
That's
want
right.
you to be like sure that you're like, because after a year, I feel like this is reasonable. And I
Absolutely.
tell the guys, if I'm not engaged after a year and we're going to get married, I'm not going to like, I'm not going to play around. I don't need a boyfriend. I don't need to be with someone for 8 years for like what? I'm 35.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be 43 then. So that wouldn't, no, I don't want that. And also, what I tell the girls is always like to have your own life.
Hmm.
So I had one guy, he wanted to meet last week, and I had friends over from Scotland and from
Mm.
DC. So I was busy, right? So
Yeah.
I did not have time. And then also, yesterday I went to yoga and he wanted to meet during my yoga session or after. And I'm like, look, I have a social life. I'm happy to meet you, but we
Right.
have to find a date
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where I
It has
am
to be on the calendar.
available. He's like, oh my God, you're so hard to like. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I have a social life. I'm not going to give up. I haven't even met you in person. I'm not going to
Yeah.
give up my social life for you. You know, I
Right.
also don't want you to give up your social life, right?
Yeah.
Of course, we need to find a way to meet each other,
Yeah.
but we still have our friends, we have our life. And also right now I'm looking into like buying my own apartment. I think like even when I'm married, I do want to have my own apartment, like as an asset. I rent it to someone, but also I know I have my own,
Mm-hmm.
like my security. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna, like you said, I'm not gonna do that anymore. Like moving straight in and all. I'm not
Yeah. You
gonna
don't
move
want
in
to.
until I have a ring on my finger, first of
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
right? So you want
Commitment. Commitment.
commitment,
Yeah.
like you want me to stop also dating others, you're gonna put a ring on that finger.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, no, I'm not. Like we're just like friends who, have a good time, but I'm not gonna like, also
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sleep with you in the beginning, so no.
Yeah. That's very important. Some people think that that's too conservative or too you're being too radical.
Yeah.
But again, it just takes away from wasting your time. And
Yeah.
again, it's very important that you establish those terms in the beginning, because marriage relationship is very important, and that's why
Yes.
those principles need to be very important, right? It's what you said, right? Someone that's has a good communication, their principles,
Yeah. Believes
are
in something
yeah,
higher.
it's very important, and I always tell the story, when I met my wife, and again, when we look back, we're looking at pictures back in the days, and it was like we were so young,
Yeah.
but the first day that I met her, that I asked her to date her, I asked her to marry me, basically. I
Oh.
said I want to get married with you, and
Oh.
this is when I was. She says I was younger than this, but I say 18 or 17. I don't know.
Wow.
And so from that day, because I lived a crazy life,
Mm.
my past was very crazy. So I knew at that moment that I needed to have a radical change.
Yes.
I needed to. So from that day on, we worked on a relationship. And relationship is not easy. I mean, we have our ups and downs. It's crazy. Sometimes, she always, calls me annoying as hell. But then, it, it's just a work in progress, right? It's a working thing that we all have our phases. But I think establishing those principles and what you want is very important, you
Yeah.
know. But I do see that you're much more like protective of your peace.
I'm so protective of my peace. If I feel like there's like drama, and I don't know if that is good or not. I'm still figuring it out. But if there's like drama, I'm cutting you. And I'm like, I
Right.
mean, this sounds so bad, but will cut you. If you're bringing me drama, I would do, but I will always communicate. I never
Yeah.
like block someone or something. I would just like say like, hey, like I don't think this is a good fit.
Yeah.
Maybe timing wasn't right, and I'm not like interested in a friendship or anything. I just would like us to
Hmm.
like stop here. So I tell them I'm
Yeah.
honest, right? I'm not gonna be like just ignoring you. I always tell them
Yeah.
straightforward
I
as
can
well.
tell that in you. I think
Yeah.
you're very sincere upfront. Just hey, this
Yeah.
is what you got.
And it needs a man who can handle it as well,
Yeah,
right?
that's the
So
thing.
I need
Yeah.
someone who doesn't get offended, someone who actually appreciates my directness and like,
Absolutely.
can handle it.
Yeah, and that's okay. So tell me a little bit about being a feminist.
Yes. Well, I always say I'm not a feminist.
There you go.
I'm a feminine woman because I believe in that we need the masculine and the feminine, that we're all created by love, men and women coming together. That's how we created. And being a feminine woman means to like nourish yourself, to say no as well. A lot of people think like feminine means to be like saying yes to everything and like looking after everybody, but it's actually being a feminine woman means to say no, because if you're running out of energy,
Mm.
like how you gonna show up as a wife, as a mother, how you
Right.
gonna like, look after your family. It's not gonna work.
Yep.
So you do need to look after yourself. And that means also saying no, like, no, tonight I'm not feeling like going out. No, tonight I need time for myself, and
Right.
it's really nourishing yourself and to find ways in this like very hectic society to slow down, like taking a hot
Mm.
bath, lighting a candle, reading a book, putting on a face mask, like wearing something beautiful. And I always say when we are in our feminine, we also help the men to be in their healthy masculine, because there's a
Absolutely.
lot of toxic masculinity going on
Yeah.
in our world. So we also, when we do that, step in our feminine, we help the man as well. And when we women come together, that's when we like grow so much in our
Mm.
feminine as well. That's why I always say, like, you need to find like a group of girls that you can connect with. And it's easy. Go in a cafe, give a compliment to another woman, exchange numbers, or go on Instagram, write another woman, like, catch up with her, like learn about her life, and have like regular like catch ups, because
Yeah.
we as women, we like to talk. It's very important for us.
Yes, 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 yes. You guys love to
Yes,
talk.
we do.
I always, bug my wife with that because sometimes she goes out with her friends and then it's like, she spends a lot of time and I'm like, what do you guys talk about all this time?
Everything.
It's everything. I get it. You guys talk about everything, and one of the things that I always tell my wife is, watch who you listen to, right,
Mm-hmm.
and who's in your circle.
Mm.
Because I know that when you guys get together, women get together, you guys talk a lot. But how do you balance out the negativity, right?
Yes.
Sometimes because I do see sometimes women like to they smile at you, but at the same time it's like
Yeah,
I
that
really don't really want you to outshine me or something like that. How do
yes.
you deal with that?
That's also toxic femininity, because a
Yeah.
feminine woman who's really connected to her true self, she would be happy for another woman. She would never
Right.
gossip about another woman. She would never
Mm,
like try to put them down. That's mostly when they're not connected to themselves, because when you're not connected to yourself, how can you connect to others, right?
that makes
So that's
sense.
very like that's more the toxic side, so they need to work on themselves. But so I always say I listen to what people tell me, but I decide what I do. So I do listen, but then I listen to my intuition and I decide what I'm going to do. So, of course, you can listen to your girlfriends, but I would be also very careful when you go to your girlfriends and talk about your relationship. Because if you talk bad about your husband, they're going to remember, and they're going to start like, they want to like support you. So they're going to
Yeah.
start talking bad about him. And then imagine you, like, you're good in your relationship again, but they still remember what your husband like said or did. So they will remind you. So I would be always very careful um, when you have an intimate relationship to talk too much about it. Like, I
Yeah.
think this should stay between the partners, and you should figure it out and talk with your partner about it, or get a coach or a mentor or a therapist, someone who
Mm,
is like not your friend, because your friend will always pick your side, right?
yeah.
And you also don't want them to think bad about your husband. That's
Yeah.
another thing. That's what I learned. So when I talk,
That's a good lesson. You're learning.
very,
You're ready.
yes,
You're
yeah.
ready.
Because I also had this with my former partner. He
Yeah.
talked with his mom about our relationship problems. And of course, especially the
Yeah, you
mom.
can't do that.
Oh my
You
God,
can't do
she's
that.
like, I could feel
Yeah, you
the
can't do that.
energy. And
Yeah.
then she would like just,
Yep.
not talk nice about me. And I'm like, please don't talk with her about it.
Yep.
It's your mom, like it's not good. But he kept doing it. And that was also a thing why our relationship, I think, didn't
Yeah,
work.
that's a
But
no-no.
yeah,
That's a
that's a
no-no.
no-no.
Yeah.
So but same for me. I try to really not talk with my friends about my relation. I really try to talk with my partner, or I have mentors, coaches, therapists. I talk with them
Yeah.
because they also give me professional advice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they always like, I like it as well. When I talk to my coach, she never says like, oh, he should do that. No, she always asks me like, what can you do?
Right.
Like, what can you do as a healthy adult woman? How can you react in this situation? Like, do you see his side as well? How can you communicate it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what can you do? Because in the end, it's not so much what is the other person doing. It's like, how can you react in this situation? How can I communicate differently? How
Yeah.
can I make clear that this is what I need, and saying like, you should do this, this, this. Say like, oh, I really do appreciate what you do for us as a couple.
Yeah.
And in this situation, I didn't feel seen, and it really hurt me. It means
Mm.
the world to me if you could, I don't know, whatever it is, like,
Yeah.
do this for me. it would mean so much. And but also asking the partner, like, what do you need? Like, how do I show up as
Yeah.
like your girlfriend or wife, you know? Or same, you can do this in your friendships, right? I just had a call with my friend and business partner, and I was like, hey, I just want to, you know, catch up. How you feeling? How you feeling about how our event is going? How are you feeling personally?
Right.
I like to check in, and like I'm like also asking, like, is there something I can improve? Is there
Mhm.
something I can do? Because it's not about the other people, it's about how you can grow.
Yeah.
Because if you grow, your relationships are growing.
Yeah, and it's how you deal with situations. So it really does come down to yourself because you have no one's gonna make you do anything, right?
Exactly.
So you know, I stopped blaming people for the problems that I'm in because I'm the one that allowed it to come in.
Yes.
I'm the one that said yes.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I'm in a situation, I'm like, well, it's your fault
Yeah.
because you said yes. So
Mm-hmm.
I try to take away the blame from other people because they have their own issues to deal with, right?
Yes.
But it's me. I'm the one that's going to make that decision. And I think in a relationship is very important, you know. And for me personally, you know, this is something that I'm learning is understanding where I'm at emotionally, right?
Mm.
Again, you know, my wife says, "Man, you are like you're annoying today," right? Or
Yeah.
you're just, you know, you're so explosive. I've been
Mm.
explosive. Like everything she says to me, I'm like,
Mm.
it's all the pressure at work. But then what I do is I reflect back on that. I said, yeah, you know what? You're right.
Mm-hmm.
There's this tension. So it's nothing to do with you. It's nothing to do with you. It's me.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. I do see myself exploding for the most stupidest thing, right? So that's where, you know, I think for us personally, we have to reflect on ourselves, see where we're at emotionally. And, you know, uh, for me, it's very important our relationship with God,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because God is forever reminding us of who we are. And every time we come to Him and every time we open up our hearts and say, Lord, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm going through, you know, it's that self reflection of saying, I need help. And that's where healing comes in. And that's where it's like, you know what? I'm going to change this attitude. I'm going to change what I'm doing. Because again, it comes down to us, our attitude. But yeah, I think what you're saying is so right. So you're almost, I'm not going to say you're ready
Yeah.
for a better relationship. So tell me, you know, what one of the parts of your story that I really found intriguing was you almost lost your life.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me
The tattoo here, the
what
numbers, the date of when I don't know if you can see it, but 17th July 2017.
tell me
Mm.
what happened 2017.
Oh yeah. So that was actually when I was in the abusive relationship.
Was this
Um
the last relationship or was
the
this
last abusive
abusive
one.
relationship?
Yes. Um so I was in this abusive relationship. I worked in a office. I hated my job so much, but because of the guy, he said like, "Oh, you should do like a normal 9 to 5 job would be good for you." So I
So
did
your
it.
life was like
It
chaotic.
was chaotic, and then my grandma died from
Oh
cancer,
my
and she was like
gosh.
my mom, my best friend, my soulmate, like my everything. So, and I was always scared since I was a little child when she dies. I was like, my life is gonna end, and it was really
Wow.
tough. It was really
Wow.
tough. So I was not happy. I was like, literally, my life was not how it should be. So I was riding my bicycle on the way to work in Berlin, Germany, and I'm about to cross the street, right? So, and I had the green light, and there was a big truck, and he wanted to turn right. So, and he stopped. So I was like, okay, he's stopping, he's seeing me. I have the green light, so I'm going to keep going, right? So
Mhm.
I keep going, but in the moment I'm going to cross the street, he starts to drive as well, right? So, and then everything just happened so fast, but for me it happened very slow, very slow mo.
Wow.
So what happened is that my front wheel of my bicycle got stuck under his wheel. So I was basically stuck between the truck and the street. So my leg was under my bicycle, and he was keep moving.
Oh, he
And so
didn't see you.
he didn't see me. So I got sucked into like more under the truck, and then I couldn't get my leg out, and I was trying to push him away, and I was screaming, stop, 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 because I knew if he's not stopping, I'm gonna lose my leg or I'm gonna die here. I just knew
Wow.
this moment. I was scary. And then something happened. It's like, it's a little bit like this light here in the studio, like this light came, this like really like, and I just went into like another dimension, or like whatever this was. But I did see God. Before this, I was not religious, but I did see God like in this bright light and like very beautiful, like a father, like so gorgeous.
Wow.
And then he was just looking at me, and then I saw these little movies from a projector, right? And I saw movies of my future life. So I saw myself being on stage, talking to people. Then I saw, and like really inspiring them. And then I saw myself like in a house with my husband, like giggling, having fun, and our
Wow.
3 kids running around, and our doggies, and just like so beautiful. And I saw myself living in the US. And I was looking at this, and I felt this love and this excitement. And then I was talking to God, and I was like begging him. I was like, please, God, please, please, please don't let me go now. And I do promise I do everything to achieve these things. Please, please, please give me another chance. I promise you I will change. Please, please, please give me another chance. I promise. I was like literally begging him. And then something happened. I was like whoosh, back in the accident,
Mm.
and the truck stopped. Like in this moment he stopped, and I just jumped out of this, like, and I fell down, and I was bleeding everywhere. And I had this woman running to me, and she's like holding my hand, and she's asking me, do you feel your legs? Do you feel your legs? And first I couldn't feel my legs. So I was
Right.
like, oh my God. But then the pain came, and I felt them. And when I woke up, I was in the emergency room in the hospital. And I remember I had 2 doctors and a few nurses all standing around my bed, and they were all shaking their head. And they were like, Miss Janke, this is more than a wonder. You had more than 2 guardian angels that you survived that. Normally,
Wow.
these kind of accidents, people die or have very bad head injuries, or they can't walk anymore. They're in a wheelchair, because I also hit my head.
Right.
And in the end, what I had was a concussion, something in my back, and like some, like a little bit like
Scratch.
bruises and
Wow.
scratches, but nothing more.
Wow.
And my mom, she said when she saw me, she's like, "Oh my God, you need to celebrate this as your second birthday. Like you literally, you have a second chance on life right now." And this was the most turning point in my life. After that, I ended the relationship with this abusive partner. I quit my job. I moved to another city in Germany, to from Berlin to Munich. I did take classes as a TV host. And
Wow.
then later on, also this experience helped me to make the decision to move to the US by myself. Like,
Wow.
so this really, really changed my life. And I got this tattoo after I got baptized here in Miami
Amen.
as a reminder for me to, like, I look at it, and then I'm just like, whatever I was thinking or complaining in this moment, I'm like, it doesn't freaking matter, because I'm so grateful I'm still here, that I have this, chance to live here, because we don't know. Like, I could have been dead now,
Yeah.
We don't know how long we live. So I rather enjoy and don't complain, because life is a gift. And
Yeah.
yeah, I hope everyone who listens to it, that God doesn't need to send you a truck, to wake up, because I think he sent it to me to wake up, to change my life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a story to tell, right? And that's the biggest responsibility we have. And what's interesting about your story, you didn't know God. Basically, you weren't religious
No,
or anything, and that's what I think is very interesting. How God used that situation in order to have you today tell your story. And what was that experience like for you, understanding God, and how was that journey of you now? Okay, something incredible happened to me, second birth. How do I get to know who this God is?
oh,
What was that journey?
there was a journey that is still a journey.
Yep.
I'm still on that journey. And I did a lot of research, like with all religions. I was like going through all religions. I was like, okay, let me read about it. Let me go. Like I went into a mosque. I went to like
Wow.
yogi. I went like to Buddha places. I went like to Catholic church, evangelic church. I like did a whole research. I was like,
Right.
okay, let me find my God, the
Right.
God that I saw there. Like,
Mhm.
but what I realized in the end is that there's one God. We just call him differently. That's what
Mhm.
I believe. And for me, the religion I align the most with is the Christian religion. I got baptized evangelic, but I'm really drawn to become actually Catholic. So I'm on this journey right now to learn more
Mm.
about the Catholic Church and everything because I like their traditions and I like the what is it called? The confession when you go to the.
Sure.
Oh, I love that. I did this in Las Vegas. Sounds so funny, but I talked to the priest and it was so good. I feel like talking to a father who's giving me advice, like
So the
religious advice,
so
but
the
yeah,
situation of you just pouring out your life to someone, you felt like there was healing in that process.
so much healing. And I feel like it's also, I feel like going to church or like talking to the priest or to other people who are religious is like, feel like, it feels like coming home. I feel like I'm talking to a family. I feel very connected. I feel very
Yeah.
safe. I do feel, it makes me even smile talking about it. I just love the energy and like, I mean, I'm being honest. Recently, before I went to church every Sunday, recently I haven't been going to church so much because I wanted to have this relationship with God by
Mhm.
myself right now. I really felt like talking, and I talk to God every day. I
Yeah.
pray before I eat, I do all that. Like I'm talking to Him, but I felt like I want to have this intimate relationship with Him at the moment. I'm not really, because I also found in some churches here in Miami, some people are, and I don't want to be judgy, but I feel like some people don't really go there for God. They go there more for like showing themselves or
Sure.
I don't know. I just couldn't align with that. So I was like, okay, let me step back. I need like my time with God right
Mhm.
now. And I know I'm going to go back to church. It's not like I'm not going to go. I just needed like some time for me and God.
Yeah, yeah, and that's important.
Yeah.
Anytime, there's no doubt, I stand here today because of Jesus. I know that He is the way, the truth, and life. There,
Yeah.
there is no doubt in my mind today. That's personal. That's
Yes.
personal, and that's very important. I always encourage people that to get to know Jesus, to get to know God, is through His Word. Never neglect that.
Mm-hmm.
The church is a place where we go to and we worship together and we, fellowship together, but it's not where the relationship is built, right? The relationship is built at home. It's built every single day, right? So that's very important because you're going to find in any church that you go to, you're going to find the crazy people. I always say that the church is a hospital, right? It's where people are lost and people are searching for God, right? So you're gonna find different people and different stories, and you're gonna find people with their spirituality. But you're only gonna know that if you spend time with people, right? That's why the Bible says that by their fruit you would know them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why going back to relationship, spend some time, you'll get to know the person, right, and who they are, and that's why it's important. But building that relationship with God on a daily basis is very important, and that's the journey that you're on right now. So that's beautiful. I'm glad that you surrendered your life to Jesus, and
Yes.
there's nothing better than that. That's number one.
Yes.
That's number one. So now that you had this transformation in your life, and your life again, it's a book.
Yeah.
It's a book, and I think that's why I encouraged you to write a book.
Yes.
So, what is your book about, and what inspired you to do that?
My book is about, well, it's called Grow and Glow. It's helping women to heal, to let go of shame, to forgive others, but forgive themselves the most. It's also about the feminine, what is masculine, how can I step into my feminine core more, which methods can I use, and then also about creating community of supportive women, how can I build community, how can I find
Yeah.
female friends, and then another one is also manifesting because when you're in your feminine, you can attract anything in your life. And then also about like, yeah, like having your dream life basically. So it's, I always say it's, it's like, I hope you don't get this one, but it's like kind of the Bible for women, I would call it, you know, where you go and look whatever you need in your
Yeah.
life. You have troubles in your relationship, maybe even in your religion or like in your belief system. You want to change something in your life. You go in my book and like read the chapter that is calling to you.
Yeah.
Or like, also like your best friend, you know, or like your grandma is giving you an advice. It's very hands on. So there's a lot of exercises, there's a lot of methods, and yeah, it's for the women.
Yeah.
I'm just the messenger because I got the message from God like so many times, you know, like I got messengers. I had like people coming up to me, they're like, oh my God, you should put your story in a book. And I do talk about my story. Each chapter has my story in it, but then it has the methods in it that
Yeah.
help me. Because everything I'm talking about in the book, I went through. So when I'm talking about like how to forgive your abuser, like, you
Yeah.
know, I got sexually assaulted when I was
Oh
16.
wow. Oh
So
geez, we
like,
didn't even go into that. My goodness.
yeah, so when I like I had to forgive that and I had to forgive myself. So everything I talk about in the book, I went through. So I'm not like a psychologist who learned about it in university. I
You
lived that.
experienced it.
I
Yeah.
experienced that. Like nothing in the book that I wrote I haven't experienced. So yeah, it's a very hands-on book for women, and I really
Yeah.
do hope it helps them to heal. It helps them. I hope it helps them to heal their relationships
Yeah.
and to really live a beautiful feminine dream life.
Yeah. I love that, Victoria. You know, I really want people to know your story. I think it's phenomenal what you're doing, and you know, just the lives that you're going to be impacting. That's the gift that God has given you, right? He's giving you that story. He's made you a steward
Yes.
of this experience of transformation to empower others. And I know that God is going to continue to use you in a very powerful way. And again, I know there can be a chapter 2, a chapter 3 about going into more details, because I didn't even know about that part, you know, that you were sexually assaulted. And again, people do not understand why people are who they are today, because it's just like you see the outside, but there's just so more. There's just so much more to the story,
Yeah.
and I think it's so important. I always encourage people, tell your story, because you don't know the life that you're gonna transform. Because right now, as we're speaking, there's someone going through that right now,
Yeah.
right? There's there's a there's a young lady right now being sexually assaulted. There is someone being abused right now
Mm-hmm.
and is trapped in a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
And all they need is just to listen and hear a story of victory,
Yes.
and that there is a better life from what they're living right now.
Yeah.
So,
And can I say
again,
something for the
absolutely.
person who might needs to hear that right now? Let me be your model for that. Like I have been like assaulted. I have been uh, abused. I was like suicidal. I went through everything. And now I'm sitting here. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm like financially independent. I have beautiful relationships in my family, my friends, and you can do that too. And how you do it is you take your power back. Like what I asked myself when I came like to a turning point was like with the abuser, like how much longer am I going to give him the power over my life? I am the hero of my story. I take my power back because what happened, he probably is living his life like normally, but I'm
Mhm.
like holding on to this. I'm
Yeah.
holding on, being in this moment, being the victim.
Yep.
I don't want to be the victim anymore. I want to be the Victoria, the victory.
Yep.
So I'm going to take my power back. And that means that I took therapy. I did start like, you know, forgiving. I'm started using methods, getting a coach, you know, reading books, listening to podcasts. I was like, I'm going to take my power back because this is my life and no one else. And so can you. And you don't even need to like, you know, spend a lot of money to pay a coach. You can go like listen to a podcast like this. You can find like mentors online, YouTube, Instagram, get inspired, you know, like, or like buy a book, change your belief system, and yeah, take your power back. And because this is our life and you're stronger than you think you are. I did it, so can you.
Yeah, love it, Victoria. Love it, Victoria. So, what is coming up? What do you have plans? What's coming up?
A lot of things. So my book is published in Europe. Now I'm going to bring it to the US.
Can we see the book?
Yes, yes. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, look at that.
Where was the camera? Here.
Yeah, right there. There you go.
Grow and Glow. It's very beautiful. I made the decision to not put myself on the cover. I put like a drawing of a woman and her bag and a flower like just coming out of her. It's like for the glow, you know, you grow, you work on yourself. That's when you have this glow, when you like blossom like a flower. So that's my book. I'm going to bring it to the US, so you will get it here soon. Yes. And then the other thing that we're doing is, so I do events for women. We're going to do a retreat this year in Big Bear Lake. And then we're also going to do a huge event during Coachella with over 250 women. So that's in April. That's coming up very soon.
Awesome.
I'm very excited. And yeah, growing my company, my life's mission to help women, inspire more women. Yes.
Amazing, Victoria. Once again, I just thank you so much for jumping on the podcast and sharing your story. You're an inspiration, you know, and I know that soon I'm going to see you getting married. Yes. with the right person, with the right guy.
Person, yes.
You know, and may your, you know, that plan that God has put into your life, and I know that is divine intervention, you know, continue embracing that, because God is with you, you know.
And can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Because that's maybe for the ladies who are also single right now. Enjoy your single time, because this is your season. That's actually what my pastor in my church said. Like, he wrote a book, Single and Secure. Enjoy this time of your life, you know, because then you're going to be married for a long time and it's beautiful too. But this time is beautiful too as well. And like whatever season God has for you, enjoy it. So I'm not even worried about getting married, because right now I also know God wants me to focus on my life's mission, and it's not my timing, it's God's timing.
That's right.
You know, you want to make God laugh? Make plans.
That's right. You know what, Victoria, you said something, you know, I was going to close it up, but you said something so important. A lot of people like to dictate your life. And I always tell people this, you know, it's like, you know, me and my wife, we don't have kids. We've been together for 26 years. And, you know, that's our choice, you know, and that's something that we put before God. If God wants it to happen, it's going to happen. If God wants you to be in a relationship, but put it before God. Everything into prayer. Whatever you say to God and say, God, use me. This is your season. Listen, Victoria, I'm going to use you. This is the season that I'm going to use you to empower women. Yeah. Right now, guy is not going to fulfill the mission, because the mission that we have here right now is to present people to who God is, who Jesus is, and it's to inspire people who are lost. That's the biggest reward. So everything else is just temporary. Everything's just temporary. So again, amazing conversation.
I love that.
Yeah, you know, you're doing amazing things. So all the best to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.